If you're an aggressive, growth-minded attorney looking to transform your law firm into a thriving business, you're in the right place. Welcome to the AGM Attorney Podcast, the #1 podcast dedicated exclusively to aggressive, growth-minded attorneys. Each episode will deliver actionable strategies and insights to help you attract ideal clients, scale your law firm, and dominate your market. And now, here's your host, Josh Konigsberg.
Welcome to the AGM Attorney Podcast, where aggressive, growth-minded attorneys discover proven strategies to transform their law firms into thriving businesses. A special thank you to our sponsor, Law Firm Marketing Pros. They get you more leads, more clients, and more profits. I'm your host, Josh Konigsberg. Let's get aggressive. Hey, welcome back to another exciting episode of the AGM Attorney Podcast. I am really excited about today's guest. It's Yulianna Cox. She is the founder of Cox Marketing Agency. She is also a fractional CMO known as the voice of reason. I love that, for law firms looking to bring structure and clarity to their marketing. Yulianna works with law firms and professional service businesses that feel like their marketing is scattered or inconsistent. Imagine that, right? Through strategy, CRM systems, automation, and digital visibility, she helps firms organize their marketing, strengthen intake, and build processes that attract the right clients. Yulianna, welcome to the AGM Attorney Podcast.
Thank you so much, Josh. I really appreciate you having me on here today.
So let's dive right on in. So what first drew you into working with law firms in the marketing space? So tell us your journey to get there.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, the justice system is created for people like us, right? The little guys, to have the equal opportunity in order to give us the best opportunity for growth within the American dream. And the American dream is based on what we all want. We want freedom, the freedom to voice ourselves and to have whatever it is that we need in order to have either fair compensation or get the right voice out there in order to proclaim ourselves. And so we can show off and be who we truly are. What I mean by this is, if you got injured in a car accident or if you had a slip and fall, you need somebody to advocate for you. And I am from a family of immigrants. We did immigrate to the United States in order to follow that dream to be in the United States. And very happy to be here. And I've grown up here, as you can tell. I have very good English, and I've been here since I was 5 years old. Working with law firm owners is pivotal to me because it is really showing off and helping them to become who they want to help in this justice system so they can portray themselves and really win as their profession.
Love it. You're often described as the voice of reason when it comes to law firm marketing. So what does that mean in practice when you start to work with a law firm?
Absolutely. So the voice of reason, I've been coined the voice of reason for since I've been in college. I've always been the one who's been very tied into, like, okay, what is a logical thing to do? What should we be doing? I always ask the question, why? Like, why are you doing this? Like, why are we going here versus there? Same thing with the marketing for law firm owners. Why do you want to implement a new social media strategy? Why do you want to create a landing page? Why do you want to start running ads? The question, the basis always comes from the question why. And being the coined as the voice of reason really helps law firm owners really see, is like, okay, this is why we should start implementing marketing strategies, because we need to be out there in the online world. AI is changing. There are many different marketing strategies that come out every single year. There's usually 4 key marketing strategies that are implemented every single year, and marketing changes. So we need to always be on top of all of that. And hence, going to different conferences, taking continuing education is really key for any industry, including ours, Josh.
So many law firms will invest in marketing, but still feel like no one knows who they are. So I recently went to a conference called No One Knows Who You Are. So what are the most common reasons firms struggle to build that real visibility and brand recognition?
They do not want to get out of their comfort zone, in short.
Okay.
In order to show their visibility and their authority online, they need to show up online. They need to have the right marketing pillars or the right marketing strategies. You know, Josh, you do an amazing work at
Thank you.
your agency, and you really teach your clients why they should be implementing a specific website of what they're doing, right? That's keyword strong, SEO ready, and has the right user experience as well. Why are we implementing chat widgets? Why are we implementing social media? And this is the way that we need to really teach our clients and lean with the heart of a teacher to show our clients why they need to be implementing these specific strategies moving forward.
So well said, and so often overlooked something as simple as UX, right? So that's user experience for all of those listeners out there that don't know what that means. So from your experience, what happens inside the law firm when marketing efforts lack structure or a clear strategy?
Things get broken, people start pointing fingers to each other and blaming each other, right? The job for a marketing agency or a marketing consultant, primarily a marketing agency, is to drive awareness to who they are. Right. At the end of the day, they cannot close the deal, sell the deal. They can't provide the great customer service. However, someone who has an advisory aspect can help join those two and either do intake training or help their processes work together with the marketing team, because it is in unison that everything happens. And in marketing, there's a whole client journey. It doesn't just come with awareness, right? Pushing those leads into like, okay, we received a lead. How do we qualify the lead? Is this a good lead or is this a bad lead? How do we qualify those versus the clients that we want to work with? There is a big terminology between the cases that we want versus the cases that we sign. And you want that correlation to be pretty big. You want to make sure that you want to keep as many of those as possible. However, the client journey really goes in a 360 mode, because when the client comes in, then your paralegal or your intake specialist speaks to them, your paralegal onboards them, they speak to the attorney, and then they close or they finish the case working with the attorney and the paralegal. Then what happens after? Right after that client journey is done, you should always continue to, thank them, sending them anniversary messages so they can always keep you top of mind. So marketing is never ending. The client cycle is always moving forward.
Such a simple thing to do, right? And that just gives you a continuous flow of referrals from happy clients when something as simple as a birthday card or an anniversary card or something like that.
Absolutely. Some of the biggest cases come from, hey, I don't remember who my previous attorney was. And then guess what? Your competitor got that new
That's right.
lead and you
That's right.
closed that case.
That's right. So you work heavily with CRM systems and automation. How can these tools help law firms improve their intake and their client experience?
Well, there's a new saying. I went to a conference recently, and the new saying is AI is not going to replace an attorney. However, AI is going to replace the attorney that is not leveraging AI or automation or any of these tools. I do a specific audit for my clients, and this specific audit, what it is looks at what they're doing online well and what their competitors are up to. And then, of course, we structure what is really going to help them propel and move them forward. However, what I do find is that between 80 to 90% of these potential clients, they are not leveraging any sort of automation or any sort of AI in the front end. Maybe they have back end stuff like helping them with their caseload, with their timeline, with their management system, fine. However, in the marketing sense, it's very few. The speed to lead is crucial. That's why these big guys are taking up so much market share, because they're leveraging automation and AI to get those leads coming to them, and they can sign and close those cases much quicker. Josh, we talked about the client journey, but about 3% of people are ready to buy from you today. What about the rest? What about the rest that are considering to purchase with you? They know that they have a problem. And however, they are shopping around. What is AI telling them right now? The AI, when you search for, hey, should I work with XYZ law firm? They say, yes, look at the reputation. Or do they go to trial? Do they not go to trial? What type of cases have they won in the past? So all the SEO is very important. However, when they are ready to buy from you, how fast do you get back to them? Most of the time inside of my questionnaire, it says within 24 hours, within an hour. That's way too late. So AI and automation, creating the right CRM system that would implement nicely with your case management system, is what's going to sign you those cases quickly versus the person waiting for you, then, shopping around like, oh, okay, I saw, now I'm seeing an ad for competitors. How are they doing? Maybe I should sign with them. And guess what? Maybe they have automation on that they receive an automatic text message, they receive an email, then they automatically receive a phone call. They have a great intake team that's now qualifying this lead to see if they're good or not. They're providing great value. So that process needs to be almost instantaneously, because in the world of law firm marketing, it is extremely competitive And if you're not working with the big boys, and if you're not leveraging what's working right now, which is AI automation, and leveraging the right tools and systems in place, which honestly doesn't have to be complicated, just has to be an intentional system. And that system is going to get you those cases coming into your door. Because you know what? You're spending a lot of money on these leads. You're spending a lot of money to acquire a client. To market for a law firm owner or to a firm, it's extremely expensive. So if each phone call is costing you $300, you better be sure that you're answering the phone call within the first 2 or 3 rings.
I'll take a little bit deeper dive on that topic. So first and foremost, speed to lead, we all know is super, super important. You're
Yep.
investing a lot of money to get the phone to ring. How many conversions do you want to lose, listener? How many conversions do you want to lose? Right.
Oh my gosh.
and, and finally, I see typically most law firms are probably using maybe 5% of the capability of the automations, with the
Oh,
exception of the
boy.
big
Yep.
law firms who have invested in someone like yourself who can come in and fix it. So, with that being said, do you have a favorite that you like to work with, or a couple that you might want to mention?
In regards to law firms or systems
Yeah,
that
CRMs for law firms. And I'm not talking about case management. I'm talking about
first of all, I do want to explain that nobody does marketing 100% well. It is very difficult to plug up every single gap in marketing. Be it you open up a new satellite office, be it, something's broken. You need to have a lot of systems and teams in place to audit what's going on. Be it you're rebranding, being brand congruent. I do want to give that peace of mind to everybody. Even the big guys. When I do these audits, I'm surprised, like, oh my God, right, this is a huge law firm. However, when I clicked the button to submit, their button was broken or something was broken. And it's just an opportunity for you to plug up those gaps in marketing. So the more things that you have implemented in place, the better. The CRM system that I love to use and that I will always vouch by is going to be Go High Level. It's also known as Lead Connector for some of you guys who don't know that. But Go High Level, what it does is really incorporates not only tracking, it can create automations, it can help with AI, create a voice bot. I know it's still really rudimentary now. However, in a couple of months, a couple of years, you're not gonna know that you're talking to either human being, if I'm human, or if I'm AI, or if Josh is AI. Who knows? But this is the reality of where we're coming to. And like I mentioned before, if you're an attorney, AI is not going to replace you. And the attorney that is going to be replaced is the attorney that's not leveraging these specific tools.
that's right.
So using Go High Level is the go-to tool that I would highly recommend.
Yeah, so that's our platform for our leadpro.legal CRM that we give to all of our clients. So,
One
and you're spot on with it, and even then, we can't get them to use it to the we train them, and we still can't get them to use it to the level they should be, but, those that do have better ROI, have fewer lost conversions, and again, I love saying this, how many conversions do you wanna lose? Right? So
data is the key to the future.
data. Yes, yes.
Data, when you start finding and knowing the patterns of your data, and once you are really going to focus on getting your team to really implement and use this tracking system, because once you have certain amount of data, then you can kind of play God. Like, in a way, you can kind of predict the future, and you can
Right.
say, okay, on average, my conversions are this. So simple math, let's say there's 10 phone calls that came through your local service ads. What is your conversion ratio? Let's say if you do 2, can we get better? Can we convert 3? Can we convert 5, 6, 7? What is your conversion ratio? So, and then we can do backwards math. If each lead costs you $300 and you have 10 phone calls coming at $3,000, let's say you want to convert half of those, that's $1,500. You start doing backwards math and that just becomes really fun. And now you know that you need to implement this many intake specialists in order to convert 200 new cases a month, for example. So, but you need to have this data. And if your team is not leveraging the system, which is Go High Level or whatever the platform that you want to use, then you're not going to have this data readily available. And then you can't make those educated decisions to predict what's going to be happening in the future.
I'm constantly amazed when I ask this question in our discovery calls. On a scale of 1 to 10, rate your intake. No one's ever said 10,
They're scared.
right?
Folks
So
are scared to look at their intake team. Folks are scared to listen to the phone calls. I have witnessed myself, attorneys listen to a phone call and know that this was a catastrophic accident, literally got up and fired that person. That is how important it is to keep track of your intake team and to make sure that they're doing not only great customer service, because that is the first impression that your firm has.
Well, what I see most often is lack of empathy on the part of the person answering the phone. And again, don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but I will say this: typically, I get a 6 or a 7 as a grade from the potential client that for me. And when we go in and start listening to calls, it's really a 5 or a 6, maybe a 4 or a 5 instead of a 6 or a 7. And
We're
so
usually upset.
right. And so imagine what that can do for conversions and revenue if you can take it from a 6 or a 7 to a 9 or a 10. You can increase your revenue by 30% with just a simple fix on intake coaching. But so let's now move on to the evaluation part of the law firm marketing process. What signals tell you that the firm is either positioned for growth or they're in trouble?
Case value. How big
Okay.
is the case value? How many cases are coming in? Are they heading downwards? Or are they or are they getting new cases coming in? There's a couple different signals. So signals can mean how many new reviews that you're getting. Are you still being intentional with marketing? Are you like what I see with law firm owners is that they either ramp up their marketing, then they slow it down, ramp up and slow it down. That's a trend that we don't want to have. You constantly want to have growth because once you start ramping down or like turning off an ad, for example, or let's say like, oh, YouTube is not working for me. Let's turn that off. We're going to see a downward trend because everything just correlates with one another. So all you have to just fix your internal processes, hire more people, and that's where you're going to see growth. Now, if we start seeing a downward trend, what's happening? Did we have turnover? Are you why are we not converting better cases? Did we try something new? Are we testing the waters out? Are we pivoting or are we not focused to our North Star? What is it? So usually asking those questions of why and then digging deeper, and if there's numbers involved, we ask the question again, why? Like, why did you lower your ad spend? Why did you increase your ad spend? So it depends.
So it sounds more like lack of a strategic plan.
Absolutely.
Right, yeah. So what are some of the common mistakes that attorneys make when trying to manage their marketing internally?
Well, the biggest mistake that I see that firm owners make internally is that they hire somebody, they start doing okay work, and then they calm down. It's like a honeymoon phase. When you work with somebody who's more like a consultant, more of there to make sure that things are working for them, you're not I call them seat warmers. You're not warming the seat anymore, right? They're not out in the water cooler gossiping, talking about whatever. When there is somebody holding your team accountable, they know that they cannot fail, they cannot hit, they cannot not hit their milestones. And then other things that I see that's not working well internally when it comes to marketing is not being consistent, having inconsistent brand congruency across the board, meaning that if I go to your website and if I go to your Instagram page and if I go to your YouTube page or whatever other page, if I don't see the same colors and branding, you're going to ask, am I seeing the right company or am I not seeing the right company?
That's right. That's right.
Um, SEO is huge and not being intentional. If you're just trying to throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks, and then, okay, it didn't work for 3 weeks. It doesn't work at all. It doesn't work for me because I'm different. It's going to work if you're consistent. My husband gave me a really interesting analogy. It's like, because I really needed to like hone down and really focus on the people that I love to work with. And it's like if you give me a construction analogy, it's like let's say you're hitting the wall with a hammer and you're hitting in different aspects and like in different areas, you're never going to get to the other side of the wall. But if you keep hammering at the same hole, you're going to get through it and you're going to make your hole bigger and then you can finally go through that darn wall. So if you're being consistent and if you're being intentional, you're going to win. However, if you're just trying to see what sticks, nothing's going to stick.
So what I typically see is they devalue marketing. And the law firms that don't devalue it and understand that nothing happens until the phone rings, and the phone doesn't ring until someone knows about you. right? So typically that's what I see, and that's marketing's role, right? To get you found and seen and to amplify your brand. So let's move on to lessons and success stories. Can you share an example of a firm that went from a disorganized marketing mess to a structured system that started generating better cases and more cases consistently?
Absolutely. I have a couple, but one of my favorite ones is we're working with a specific law firm owner, and they were very unique in their approach. However, meaning that they were into the LGBTQ community. They are a firm. I can't say where they are, but they're very niche, right? However, they're like, yeah, but we also want to work with everybody. But the owner and the team members, they're very LGBT friendly. Everybody is either gay, lesbian, or transgender, and they really wanted to make them feel heard. And they wanted to make sure that their messaging was out there. They gave back to the LGBTQ community, and it was just really putting them out there and helping them. But they're like, yeah, but we're not getting that many cases from them. And so they were really just trying to like work with everybody. However, if you take a step back and you work on your branding and in your messaging and really show that you are the go-to firm for awareness. I don't even want to say like what type of law practice that they have, but if you work on your branding and your messaging and you hone in on that and you become the expert and the go-to law firm for helping the LGBTQ community feel safe and heard coming to your office, because there's still a lot of stigmatism between um, transgender folks or gay and lesbian, and some people still feel off put by it. However, they come to a safe place, and now they know that they're coming to a firm that they can be heard and understood in their particular circumstance. And once we got the messaging down, once they knew who their target audience was, not only was it easier to market for them, it was their marketing budget extended significantly further, because now they knew who they wanted to reach. They started working with not only the people that they love to work with, the people that they want to advocate for, and it was very reciprocal because the LGBT community then started referring their friends to them,
Of course.
right?
Yeah, right.
So their firm grew exponentially, and they have been seeing so much success moving forward, and they just have been really, really great in their messaging. And if you've ever heard and read the book, The Pumpkin Method, The Pumpkin Plan by Mike Michalowicz, it's a great book to really hone in on your messaging and to really focus on who you truly want to work with and who is that biggest pumpkin, who is your biggest client, and how can you really make them bigger.
So that is a great example and story of changing your messaging and branding. But what about processes? So how does having a clear marketing process?
Oh my gosh. I absolutely love this because it's one of my favorite topics. So, law firm owners, they're not tracking where their leads are coming from, right? Creating a process, and actually learn this with the Goldman Sachs 10K small business program, that if you don't have a process down, you can't replicate yourself. Not only will it take the law firm owner out of the whole day-to-day processes, right? Because they don't need to be part of it. But creating a process internally when it comes to marketing is fundamentally key. So when you know that if you're using a call tracking system like CallRail, and then you're using local service ads, and then you do social media ads, and then you have a billboard, and then you have YouTube, and then you have all these things, when nothing is talking to each other, you don't know that this phone number, that this call came from YouTube. You don't know if this review if this client found you through Yelp or through Google. You need to have that process in place where you know that once they're at the top of the funnel, where are they finding you? How are they getting to you? What is that process when they speak to the intake team? Are they talking to the intake team, or are they talking to your call center? And then it just gets really narrowed down, because then you can actually focus on like once you clean all that up, like where is everything coming from? And then you can start speaking to not only is it, like what are the process with the paralegals? Are they asking for review after the case is done or halfway through the case? Are we getting the right medical records? How are they doing with the attorney? Does the attorney have the right bedside manners? Are they being, because the attorneys are attorneys, right? Like sometimes they don't talk, great customer service, but they are great litigators. So it's like, how do we really help that process be as smooth as possible so we can, at the end of the day, not only get great Google reviews, but get referrals from our clients? So the process really starts from the top as to like how they're finding you, getting that data in, bringing them into your funnel as to get for your potential clients to get to know you and having that process down. If that's a mess, it's a mess. I usually start with a whiteboard or a blank piece of paper. It's like, okay, where are your leads coming from? People are like, I don't know where they're coming from. So I'm actually working with one right now, and this particular potential client is like, I don't know where my leads are coming from. It's like, what do you mean you don't know where your leads are coming from? Like somewhere in the universe, or my phone's ringing, but somewhere in the universe.
Some
Great, fantastic.
they've got a legal pad and they have tick marks on it, right? 1, 2, 3,
Or
4.
sticky notes. I've literally seen sticky notes on clients'
Right.
computer screens, and like, I need to call this person back. Okay.
Okay. So so, let's shift a little bit and talk about trends and developments. And you said AI is not gonna replace an attorney, but it will replace the attorneys that aren't leveraging AI. So as a trend specific to marketing, and marketing, we're seeing a rapid evolution. What changes are you seeing in how successful law firms approach their digital marketing presence and visibility? And it doesn't have to be AI. I just use that as an example of what you said earlier.
Yes. Well, first of all, AI is really leveraging and reducing the time on desk from 28 months to 21 months on average, which is great to have, right? So that way you can service more clients coming in at a quicker pace. So I feel like marketing is never just going to be marketing. Marketing is still tied into processes within the firms as well. But when it comes to changes, I always do follow a lot of great marketing leaders. And what we're seeing, the trend that we're seeing is number one, having great online informational content on social media, being intentional with it, leveraging the right keywords, because the keywords that you put in on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, those are your SEO keywords of how people are finding you now when they search for you on Grok, ChatGPT, Gemini, on these
Sure.
on regular Google, right? So you need to be leveraging intentional marketing and creating content online, being consistent as well, and also leveraging a lot of great SEO. A couple of months ago, I will say like a year to about 6 months ago, people were starting to say SEO is dead. SEO has never been dead. If anything, SEO is it needs to be implemented even more now than ever before, because that's how people are finding you. If you don't have the right keywords set up, intentional keywords based on not what just you think, but what your clients are truly searching for, you will not be shown up online. And that's just the truth. And then, of course, automation and AI, people are expecting it. I've actually also listened to AI voice agents to some law firms that are testing it. And I was mind blown by the fact that folks are actually okay with talking with AI. Right? It is not perfect. I do not recommend it because people, especially folks that are in a very emotional state of mind. Let's say they walked into their spouse, right? For divorce potential clients, somebody got picked up by ICE, a family member. Somebody got into a horrific car accident. You want to be able to talk to a live human being, not just AI. So, but but if you use it as a supplement, as like either automation or some sort of reminders, people are completely fine with speaking with AI. Which for me, when I first started testing this, I was really hesitant, but I was really mind blown that the sentiment is actually quite positive. When they asked, "Am I talking to AI?" and the AI bot said, "Yes, you're talking to an AI," they were completely fine and kept on with the conversation.
Yep. So, how about some advice for attorneys wanting to grow very aggressively? And so, for those attorneys listening today, what is the one thing they should focus on immediately to bring more structure and clarity to their marketing?
They first need an audit.
Okay.
Before they do anything else, it's kinda like going to a doctor and getting your blood work done. Getting your weight assessment, getting your physical, getting your blood work done. I wanna know what your baseline is.
Okay. And what does that look like?
And then from there, that's your baseline, and then from there, we start knowing, okay, how you need to start scaling and growing based on evidence. So my approach is evidence-based marketing strategies. With the audit, what it is, it's looking at what your firm looks like and what the sentiment is and the authority is online right now. We look at your competitors and see what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, and where you can plug up the gaps in marketing. We look at your audience opportunity. We look at the platform opportunities that you need to be intentional on and why you need to be intentional on them, followed by evidence-based marketing strategies based on best practices that's happening right now today and how you can leverage it. Finally, implementing those, which is something that Josh can do incredibly well.
Well,
So
thank you. We
so implementing those marketing strategies is plugging up the gaps in marketing to get you very successful.
so
And
the
then,
way
of
we
course, working with an advisor or a fractional CMO that can make sure that your team is hitting all of those milestones along the way.
That's right. That's right. So we do a marketing assessment, and then from that we'll take a look at opportunity gaps in the market by looking at what the competition is doing, and then we're going to try to exploit those opportunity gaps in favor of our clients. So that's exactly what we do, and so we're on the same page there. So that's good stuff. But now it is time for us to move on to my favorite part of the podcast, and that is what I call the lightning round. This is where people get to know, like, and trust you better. So I'm just going to ask you a series of questions. Whatever pops in your mind, there's no right or wrong answers. This is just so people can get to know you better, and we all do business with people we know, like, and trust. So, Juliana, what never fails to make you laugh?
Oh my gosh, my kids doing something funny.
Okay, I love that. Okay, so what is the best compliment you ever got?
A referral. It's always a referral. So if my clients are extremely happy with me, an amazing, beautiful Google review, or even better, a referral.
Is there a person that you trade places with for a day?
No, I because the thing is, I've been asked this question when I was in elementary school, like, oh, who do you look up to? Who do you want to be when you grow up? I pick a little bit of this person, a little bit of that person. I put it and I'm like, man, like I really like how this person stands. I like how this person speaks. I like how they have their hair. I like the type of business that they run. I like how they are. And I just like to piece it all together. And that's who Yulianna is.
Love it. So, do you have a guilty pleasure?
Ah, you know, my therapist says this and they're like, "Oh, you need to relax, you need to do something." I love to read I love to read books where I can grow, like either be a great parent, be a great wife, um, improve my house, improve the way I run my business, improve how we do customer service, go and just network with people. I'm a people person, I'm a social butterfly. You can never take me away from a crowd. When I go pick up my kids, it's not a 5-minute ordeal. I'm there for like 30 minutes talking it away with other parents. I and I just casually do this with everybody else. I don't
So,
know.
so you feel guilty when you read?
Yes, I do because then I tell my kids like, okay, go read your own book. I mean, they're a little bit older now, so that they can do it. But it's like, like I would rather read than like watch a movie, which is it drives my husband crazy.
Okay. So, what is the best gift that you have ever given someone?
I love to give knowledge. I love to either help or support,
Mhm.
um, be it from like a personal experience of mine, and more than anything, just listening. You want to listen to others instead of just trying to answer their problem. Usually, all they want is just to be heard and listened to. And usually, they find their own answer. As usually, I don't even have to answer it. But they do call me the voice of reason, primarily because I listen first and I ask them, like, what do you think you need to do in order to either solve your problem or to get to your goal, or live your best life? Because I don't have the answer to everything, but I can, I'm wise, I'm older, and I can help guide them. But I usually start with asking them, what do you think you need to do that?
Great
So
answer.
I think that's a good I think that's a better gift than giving anybody anything.
Sure.
Yeah.
Materialistic, right?
Right, right, right.
Yeah, yeah, so what is the one thing you wish you were better at dealing with?
I wish I was more patient. This society here is really about speed and instant gratification, right? And I also fall to that as well. And even with marketing, even with my marriage, with the kids, with myself, like think about losing weight, think about being patient with your children, think about the growth that SEO takes for a business. How long does that take? You need to be patient. You need to be consistent. And this I think goes a long way for like every aspect in life. And sometimes I'm not patient. I'm like, I need to see the results right now. I need my kids to listen to me right now. I need my husband to help me with the kids right now. Sometimes you just have to be a little bit patient. Yeah.
And who is your hero?
Like I said, I don't have any heroes. I piece together
Okay,
people here and there. Yeah. I used to think like I would look up to like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jackie Chan, Oprah Winfrey, but it's not like I like all about them. I like pieces of who they are.
sure, sure. Makes perfect sense. So, uh, what is the one book that changed your life?
Profit first. Well,
Oh,
so when you run a business, it correlates very closely with your own personal finances because you're always gonna find a way to spend the money, right? You're always gonna do whatever it takes. But once you take profit first, it really helps with your own, not only with the business side, but also your personal side.
and tell us something that most people don't know about you.
I am an immigrant from Hungary, from Europe. So we immigrated here when I was 5 years old. My mother's Cuban, my father's Hungarian, my sister is deaf, so I also do a little bit of sign language as well. Yeah, I'm a loving mother, loving wife, and I have three beautiful little ones.
Congratulations. That's great. I did not know you were of Hungarian descent. That's
Yeah,
awesome. So, well, that's a wrap for today. Juliana, thanks so much for joining us. Before we part, however, can you please tell the listeners what the best way to reach you is?
absolutely. Well, they can honestly, if you could just search for me on Instagram, it's Yulianna, Yulianna dot marketing. That's where I am.
Okay, great. So that's a wrap again. Wonderful. I would love to have you back. So it's really been great. Thanks so much, Juliana. To all our listeners, that's it for today's AGM Attorney podcast. Until next time, we'll see you then.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the AGM Attorney Podcast. Now it's time to put these strategies into action and accelerate your growth. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, subscribe, and share. And we'll see you next time.